It is 6 p.m. Today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. This is a regular meeting of the Community Development Corporation of Los Fresnos. Under item A, we hereby call the meeting to order. We move on to item B, invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you tonight. We thank you for another day, and we thank you for the city. We thank you for the great success our city's enjoyed over many, many years, and the great history that we have in Los Fresnos. And thank you for all the folks here that give of their time and efforts to make it a better place. And so we thank you, and we ask you to be with these board members tonight as they make decisions for that betterment to continue, and we thank you for their service. We ask all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on to item C. Ms. Huerta, do we have anybody sign up? None today, so we'll move on to the action items. Under action item D1, presentation by the Los Fresnos Chamber of Commerce and consideration and action to approve a service agreement between the CDC and the Los Fresnos Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. President and members of the board, this is a brief report of what we have accomplished during the past 12 months. And I would like to start out by just mentioning once again what the Chamber's goals are. The Chamber's goals are to promote and assist businesses in our market area. We seek all possible ways to promote, announce, and advertise our members' businesses. We also announce and promote social and cultural events to enhance the welfare and prosperity of our community. Now follows the 7 festivals and events that the Chamber has organized. The first one was the Easter Festival, and just let me digress here just for a moment to tell you that that was a great success. We had 10,000 Easter eggs for the kids to go hunt, and they did, and they found them all. They even found the 50 gold eggs that had prices, and the total value of the prices was $8,500. So I think that a lot of kids benefited from that. And if you will permit me, the Independence Day celebration that we just had was great. And it was great for several reasons. The first one is that we tried to expand it this year and have activities for the adults, not just the kids. So in that regard, we had a hot dog eating contest, which went very well. And at the same time, we had a jalapeno eating contest, which went even better. And that was for the adults. For the kids, we had watermelon eating contest. We had 3 of them because of age ranges. And those kids had one heck of a lot of fun. And just to tell you, for the kids, because we do everything for the kids in our community. And for those kids, each one of the winners received a $50 gift card to J.C. Penney, because we thought, well, if the parents get the Visa card, then they go to Walmart, and then now they have to go to J.C. Penney and buy tennis shoes.
Nothing wrong with that.
And well, the rest of them are there, and I won't take any time mentioning them, except for the rodeo parade, because I don't know how the Chamber inherited the rodeo parade, but every year we organize it and for the rodeo. And now let's talk a little bit about new members. During the past 12 months, the Chamber of Commerce has acquired 30 new members. And there's a little breakdown there 3 of them are from Brownsville, 3 from Harlingen, 3 from San Benito, 1 from Laguna Vista, 1 from Starbase, which is SpaceX, and the remaining 19 are local businesses here in town. Would also like to mention that, as you all know, there are 2 liquefied natural gas projects that are scheduled to begin construction later this year at the Port of Brownsville. The Chamber is pleased to report that both Rio Grande LNG and Texas LNG are members of the Chamber. And that's important because that's going to have a great economic effect on our community as we move along. I would like to just briefly tell you about our social media, and those are the daily email announcements that we make every week, and also on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and we continue to get the word out to our community and beyond. Some of the Facebook postings that we see indicate more than 15,000 viewers. So somebody's looking at what we announced. And then we also collaborate a lot with the Los Fresnos CDC, and there are 8 items that we have recently collaborated with. The first one was locating a student intern who is here present. And we also help to edit the nature park pages on our City of Los Fresnos Travel and Business Guide. And then we also help with the Texas Travel Magazine by editing and writing some of the Los Fresnos pages there. And then we also help Desi coordinate a marketing plan to attract more visitors to Los Fresnos and or to seek retail services. Because as we're growing very, very much in terms of residential subdivisions, we are going to need more retail services. Now, we also help out with the Conjunto Festival because we have to make sure that that is a very special group, and we have to make sure that they have a good selection of food vendors, and we spend time on that to make sure that it all goes smoothly and safely. We also help to announce the design and announce the Earth Day at Los Fresnos Nature Park. And also we are almost in constant touch, I would say, with Explore the RGV. Explore the RGV is a website that encourages exploration of the 4 Valley counties. Los Fresnos is a partner city and is spotlighted for locals and tourists to visit. The Chamber monitors the website and meets with the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Corporation to ensure that Los Fresnos information is up to date. And we also help with Los Fresnos CISD, their career and technological education, and the Chamber helps to locate students for summer jobs and that sort of thing. That concludes our report. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
I do. How many members do we have total?
At the moment, we have around 150 members, and the vast majority of those are moms and pops. We take care of them.
Are they just mostly local, or they're outside the valley? I mean, the city?
Well, the vast majority are local, but it's indicated we have members also from Brownsville, Harlingen, Laguna Vista, and one in Olmito.
So the money that we give out, and I wasn't present in the previous year, this money is used for specific use, or do you use it as a on your general fund, or?
Well, we have a general fund, and that money goes mostly to the expenses that we incur when we do all the festivals. And the festivals, as I said earlier, they're all focused on our children. So therefore, we have to go out and rent the trackless train. And we have to go out and rent the inflatables, which includes the dry slide, and it includes the obstacle course and the rock climbing wall and all these various things. And of course, for our festivals, we always feel that it's very, very important to have music because that gets the people going. And so we have to hire a band as well. And we have other expenses, and most of that money goes for that.
If you'll look on page 4 and 5 of your packet, it has the service agreement, and it's got a list of 12 items in there that they will provide, and they do all of those, and then some, many additional things besides that, but that was the 12 that several years ago, this board came up with that they wanted to see.
I have a comment about the chamber. One question. When they had the watermelon eating contest, it was seedless, right?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay, that wasn't my question. That was just a comment more than anything. But I do have a comment about the chamber, and that is, and actually I have a comment about everybody that's here today. If you had to take a profile picture of Los Fresnos, all the heavy hitters are here, mostly. We don't have the Little League, we don't have the Nature Park, we don't have other people, but the Rodeo's here, the Conjunto Festival is here. You guys are really what makes the face of Los Fresnos. And the chamber, because we're only talking about you right now, I think is a very important part, because we've seen the interaction between the chamber and the city and new businesses and all these groups that are here today. So, Mr. Milam, the recommendation is $1,000 per month for 12 months?
Yes, sir, to continue as it's been.
Okay. Any further questions? You have more questions?
So, based on everything that you do, and I just made calculations here, you're operating on 150 members at $150 each?
Yes, sir.
So that's 22,500.
That totals up to about $22,000 a year that we get from our memberships.
And you operate all of these programs with that money?
No, not all of them from that, because we have staff, we have other expenses, and so we do have generous donations from the CDC as well as from the city of Los Fresnos.
My question is, I see $1,000 as recommendation, correct? That's 12,500 for the whole year. I mean, 12,000 for the year.
Yes.
I think you do a lot for $1,000, and I commend you for that. I went to that 4th of July display, and I think it was awesome.
Okay, just for the record, I informed a member that we can't have private discussions here on the side. The Open Meetings Act requires that we record everything, so that's basically what we talked about, for those of you that didn't hear.
Well, I want to make a motion, and I don't know if we're allowed to do this, and Mark will bring it up. But I think that $1,000 is an okay, I'm okay with that. But I don't know if we are allowed to offer, just like what we did with the Little League, and make a recommendation for a little bit higher amount. So I'm making a motion to see if we can do $1,250 instead of $1,000 to help you with any expenses or anything like that. And maybe revisit this next year and come up with a plan that or you can give us, like, this is our expenses, this is what we need. And that way we can better help you in maybe issuing some more money or base it on what is it that you can do. So at this point, I want to make a motion to do the 1250.
Is there any question, comments, discussion about the motion?
Yeah, I know we recently raised the amount, and it's not that we're not willing to help any further, but instead of making a motion to give $12.50, I'd like to counter motion to maybe give a donation on top of what we already committed to for this year.
I don't know that we can make donations. It's not in our bylaws.
That's why we have a service agreement. We can't do scholarships or anything like that, or donations. We have a service agreement, so everything that we do with all the groups is they provide a certain service and for funding for that. And so, the 1250 is an additional 3,000, and I think that's probably appropriate. And
We'd still be in our 10% total limit.
this one comes differently
Different.
because of the chamber than the 10%.
So on the service agreement, I mean, if we do go with it, does it have to be changed, or do we?
You would just change the amounts on it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I second it. I second that we raise the
Okay.
amount of $12.50.
There's a motion on the floor on item number 1, the presentation by the Chamber of Commerce, consideration and action to approve the service agreement with the CDC. The recommendation was for 1,000. However, it has been amended or upped, for lack of a term, to 1,250 per month. Is there any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. The amount going to the chamber per month is 1,250.
And I can assure you that our team, which is Peterson, Dante, and myself, we're the team. We will not let you down. We'll do more than you expect. Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
One little comment, if you can do that for next year, present us with something that, your expenses and things like that we can do that. Maybe, I don't know if there's a way that we can find a way to help you out better next year.
Certainly. Thank you.
Moving on to item D2, consideration and action to approve an agreement for sponsorship funding for the 2023 Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm Valerie with Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. I've been president of the Livestock Show for way too many years. I can't even count anymore. But we hanging in there another year of COVID, and we were very glad to have the rodeo back, and we were very glad to have the carnival back. So we had a very good year, good weather. We were blessed with good numbers. Cattle numbers were up tremendously. The cattle barn was full. I can't remember that many cows in the barn ever. So that's a good sign to have. Our numbers stayed basically about the same overall total. Dr. Miller held the Queen's contest, and this year the Queen that represented us was Miss Fawn, Avery Fawn. I drew a blank on her name. Avery Fawn, and she will be the representative for the rodeo next year. This year we once again paid out premiums for those exhibitors that had a placing animal, and so we paid out $10,000 in premiums to those that had champion animals and first place animals. This year we had $12,000 in scholarships, mostly in part due to the funding that the CDC provided us and the city. So basically everything that y'all supported us with went back into the kids. This year, we were blessed with another new sponsor, and we went on to award those exhibitors that placed and made the Sale of Champions at the Rio Grande Valley Livestock Show. We paid over $5,000 in premiums to those animals that, or those exhibitors that placed at Mercedes that had showed here at Cameron County. So if they did not participate here at Cameron County in Los Fresnos, we did not support them at at Mercedes. So we're looking forward to another new year in 2023, but we have a new event coming up at the end of this month. The Los Fresnos FFA Booster Club is going to be utilizing the showgrounds, and they are going to be having a clinic, not a livestock show, but a clinic to help the kids learn how to present their cattle projects and how different feeds and supplements that they can use, because it's all very high tech nowadays. Supplements that they can use and how to clip the hair and trim the hooves and stuff like that. So they will be utilizing the showgrounds for that clinic on the 30th of July. So that will be, they're not sure how many people they're going to have, but they're looking about having about 25 families come. So that will be people that will be coming to the community of Los Fresnos from other towns and perhaps even outside of the valley traveling to this clinic. And so they will be stopping at the restaurants and so forth, because there will not be any food booths or anything like that. So that's another new event that we'll be having. So we look forward to your continued support for 2023, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Ms. Valerie, you also are one of the all-stars that's in the room today. And the face of the chamber was the business face of our community, and your face has a lot of children in it.
Yeah.
And that's the heart and soul of Los Fresnos. So, Mr. Marlem, I think you wrote down $9,000. So that's what you're recommending?
Yes, sir. This does have to do with the 10% that you were talking about. The chamber doesn't, but the next three items do, that we have to be sure we stay within that 10%.
So we're capped there.
Yes. Until maybe Whataburger comes or something like that.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll go to make the motion to approve an agreement for sponsorship funding the 2023 Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. I believe it's February 17th, 18th, and 19th of 2023. Our contribution will be at 10%, which I guess we're tapped out at that, so that'll bring the amount for $9,000.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. We approve an agreement for sponsorship funding the 2023 Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show in the amount of $9,000. Any questions, comments, discussion?
Just a comment, the 9,000 isn't 10%, but the portion from Rodeo, from Stock Show, from the Conjunto Festival, and other advertising that you do during the year has to be 10%.
In the aggregate?
So in the aggregate, yes, all of it together. That's why a few years ago, the board got real generous, which you always are, and we had to wait to catch up with the sales tax sales in order to meet that 10%. We're in good shape now, though. Just so they want to know maybe where that 10% comes from. It's a state law that prevents the CDC from using more than 10% of their funds for promotional activities.
Any further questions, comments, discussions? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Valerie. Under D3, consideration and action to approve funding for the September 2022 Cowboy Cook-Off.
Mr. Chairman, fellow members from the CDC, on behalf of the Los Fresnos Rodeo Committee, we thank you for allowing us to be here this evening and asking your support for our cook-off. My name is George Gomez, in case you don't know me. With me is Jerry Bruce. We're founding or charter members of the Rodeo Committee. Been on the Rodeo Committee for 33 years. We're proud to be part of the Rodeo Committee, and we're proud to put on this rodeo and cook-off for our community. We are asking for your support for $1,500. I believe last year it was a little bit more than that, but that's what we're asking for. Before you have the budget for our cook-off, which is the $6,500 for the prize and awards, cooking teams, judge, materials, trophies, $1,800. Kids Queue, grills, charcoal, meat, t-shirts, $1,500. Miscellaneous, $200, to a total of about $10,000 for the cook-off. We have initiated something new this year for the cook-off, which is a Kids Queue barbecue. That's for kids 6 to 10, 11 to 16. It's on your information package. I won't dwell on the details. Our cook-off is this coming September 16th and 17th. Like I said, our 5th annual. We've got a $6,000 guaranteed payout. We are going to have the CBA Champions Barbecue Association meats, brisket, pork butt, pork ribs, and chicken. Jackpots also include fajitas, beans, and cook's choice, Cowboy breakfast. The Kids Queue will have a pork chop cook-off. So with that in mind, I'll ask Jerry to come up and with me and floor any questions that you all might have. Jerry?
I might, while he's coming up, I was on vacation when I did this, so it was 2,500 last year, if you'll see on packet page 13. It had been 1,000 and y'all voted to add 1,000. It had been 1,500 and you voted to add 1,000 last year to 2,500. So as you can see on 13, that was what was in the budget and agreed to last year. The reason why it's coming up now is last year they had it in November or October, which was the other fiscal year. Well, they're having it now in September, which comes around in our same fiscal year. So that's why this item is separated. Normally they would be together, but it's separated because we're hitting two because the date they moved it, and it runs into our fiscal year, which ends September 30th, if that makes sense.
Is it the 1,500 or the 25 that we're?
The 25 is what you did last year. My mistake on the 15.
I have one correction. The payout for the cook-off, we increased this year to $6,500 from $6,000, so an extra $500. Any questions?
Questions, comments, discussion?
Let me say something, Mr. Chairman and the committee. Glad for y'all having us here tonight. We appreciate it. You've been a loyal supporter of this organization for many, many years. And we hope to continue the friendship that we have with the CDC. as well as the city, who we will meet tomorrow night. But this cook-off is challenging for us to get the teams down here. They have to pay to get into the event. They have to pay for the special events. I mean, you know, $6,000 payout doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. You know, the more teams we get, the better. We will become a state qualified cook-off. And what that means is becoming a state qualified cook-off, you have to have 50 teams or better. That's what we're shooting for. If you get that, the winner is then put into the pool for the state championship. And then after that, if they do well there, they can go to the national championship. And it's a big deal for these guys. This CBA organization, which they're great, they travel all over. I don't know if y'all look at Facebook, any of you, there's a cook-off every weekend somewhere. They're all over the state. And they're very popular. They know what they're doing. We need judges, all of you gentlemen. Mark helps get judges. I mean, I see some good candidates right there. I mean, all of you can eat some ribs or some chicken or some pork chops and maybe have a good breakfast in the morning too. So we're looking forward to it. The Kids Queue is a big thing. We are going to visit with Mr. Pete from Walmart. He's considered helping us with a little bit of support for the Kids Queue. It's a new event, and I think it's something exciting for the families and the people that come out. So once again, we appreciate your all's support, and we thank you for allowing us to come.
I have a question. Where do we get information as far as entry fees?
That is coming out on a poster soon, and if you go to LosFurnaceRodeo.com, you'll be able to get all the information you need.
Be on our website.
It's on our website. There, everybody can sign up right there.
On our rodeo.
LosFurnaceRodeo.com.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
What were the total numbers for last year, participants, teams, I guess?
Last year, we had
34 teams.
34 teams.
34 teams. We're expecting anywhere between 35 and 40 teams.
See, it's what killed us last year, well, I'd say it hurt us, but we still did very well with y'all's support as well as other groups, is there was another cook-off the same weekend. And we've met with the organizers from CBA, and we've come up with a plan for this date because there's no other cook-off for CBA going on that weekend. And that's the key, because I mean, we give $6,000, Robstown gives $10,000, Uvalde gives $20,000. You know, you can't compete. And besides that, they have events at their cook-offs that we can't compete with. They have large, big name bands that come down. They have a lot of events. We're gonna have a car show, we're gonna have arts and crafts show, we'll have some bands there, and hopefully we'll get enough people around to go through the People's Choice and make these guys show that they're proud of seeing what they're doing. You'll be able to taste some different things that you'll like. But someday maybe we will be able to get the city of Las Vegas to help us promote a big name to come down, and then it'll be just like the rodeo. That's what our goal is. We started with rodeo with very little, and look where we're at today. That's what we want to do with this cook-off. We appreciate it.
Hopefully in 10 years, we can have a $10,000 payout. Just for your information, we've gotten 3 applications from cooking teams just this past week. So it's looking good. It's going to be, we're hearing from other cook-offs, it's a little challenging because of the inflation, cost of meats and stuff for the cooks. So that's going to be a big question mark for us, but we're counting these cooks that come, they know our cook-off and they like it down here. So we're expecting a good crowd. Thank you.
I have one thing. What was your attendance?
What's that?
What was your attendance last year?
Oh, gosh.
Attendance, about 34 teams, but probably between 4,000 and 5,000 people.
Throughout the day.
Yeah.
And like he said, the cost for everybody, everyone in this room has been affected by what's going on.
Yeah.
And these guys, I mean, Pete, you know, you don't buy a $25 brisket anymore. These guys all cook Wagyu briskets. They're $100 plus. I mean, one of our cooks here, he's the chairman of the deal. His name is Fred Rodeo. He won the world championship 3 years ago. He beat everybody in the nation. And he knows what it takes. He has meat markets and all these, they all know what, they're professionals. It's a sport. Well, it's not a sport, it's an event that their families go out and have a good time weekly. I mean, if you just go through and see some of the rigs some of these guys have, I mean, you'll be shocked. It's not your regular little.
Yeah, they spend the money.
They spend the money. They do it to have fun And most of them, they want to win a belt buckle or want a trophy. It's bragging rights, just like it is on anything else.
I can attest to that. I judged in one of those things. I
need
wanted
you-
the whole plate.
We need you to
I
come
wanted, I wanted the whole plate, but I only got that little.
It's a very competitive event,
Yes.
but it's also very friendly. It's not anything out of hand, but again, if you, the chamber was the business face of the city, and if the kids in the livestock show were the faces of our children, these faces at this event are a lot of people local. I guess the bigger part of them are people from the local area. Yes, we do get people from the outside, but this is another face of Los Fresnos.
Yes.
And I think it's very worthy, a very worthy effort. And, Mr. Malam, the recommendation is 1,500?
No.
The 25, the 25 that it was last year.
2,500?
Yeah, it's the one that I messed up.
Okay.
He's on vacation, give the man a
We're-
break.
Now, this is advertising, but we're in the cap.
Yes, correct.
Any
Page
questions,
13.
comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agreement with the Los Fresnos Rodeo Committee for the sponsorship fees of $2,500 for the cook-off.
Second.
Was that a second somewhere?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve funding for the September 2022 Cowboy Cook-Off in the amount of $2,500. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, it's unanimous.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your support for this event for the community.
Don't move, you're next. Okay, moving on to item D4, consideration and action to approve sponsorship funding for Los Fresnos Rodeo.
For 2023.
And once again, that 1,500 is 25 on that page 17. Where I showed it's 12.5 for the rodeo and 2,500 for the cook-off, which you'll be approving for the one in this budget year. The one you just approved is the current budget year. This is for next year.
Okay, just to be clear, this is the 23rd Annual Los Fresnos Rodeo, February 17th, 18th, 19th, 2023, correct?
That is correct.
The 33rd.
33rd, but we call it 32 because 2020, because of COVID, we didn't have an actual rodeo. So it is our 33rd. We're calling it 32nd. Kind of confusing. But once again, we're here on behalf of the Los Fresnos Rodeo Committee. Thank you so much for your attention, Mr. Chairman and board members. You have that packet in front of you. Again, I'll repeat, Jerry and I are charter members of the Rodeo Committee, and I have something to prove to you. 33 years ago, we had hair and it was black, okay? So
Mine was
we're-
brown, yours are
we're,
black,
we're still here.
kind of, sort of.
Anyhow, you can see some of the projects that, before I get into the amount of money that we're requesting, some of the projects that we continue to work on, which is the announcers. We're rebuilding a new announcer stand. We needed more space, more upgrades for about $46,000. We are building a permanent concert stage. It says 37,000, but it's actually 50,000. We got a grant from T-Mobile just a few months ago for 50,000. Half of that was gonna go to the announcer stand. The other half was gonna go to the midway paving, which is done already. So, that project's been done.
It's in the works.
We are also adding on to our ticket office, another 12,500. And we're looking at purchasing a couple of, two or three ATM machines for our rodeo, instead of renting them or going to a banks for them. So we're still looking at that. But we're looking for your support in the amount of 12,500 for the rodeo. That includes a platinum sponsor on your package for 10,000, the Friday night concert for $1,000, the skybox, for 1,500 bucks. A total of 12,500, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? Yeah. So we just awarded $21,000 in scholarships to students and graduating students in Cameron County. We're proud to use some of our profits for that project for scholarships. Just to give you an update on our rodeo this past year, we had a record number of cowboys and cowgirls attending our rodeo. We were kind of iffy, we were worried about COVID, but it flipped. Everybody showed up, more than everybody. We had a big day in slack time. What else was we had record amount of attendance from our rodeo fans. The first year we sold out Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. It was awesome attendance, awesome. So we promise you year after year, when we come before you, that we will make our rodeo bigger and better every year. And we strive to do that, not disappoint the city, and especially you and the city. So I think we're doing good for the community. Sure.
I'd just like to, again, reiterate what Mr. Gomez said. You know, it cost a lot of money to put this thing on. It's a big event. It's the biggest event in Los Fresnos. I mean, anybody that's been to it or been around it knows what I'm talking about. We have thousands and thousands of people come here in the 3 days, plus the livestock show, the carnival. I mean, all those things help make this thing become what it has become. We had beautiful weather this past year. We've been through good, bad, and ugly. We pray for the best. And as long as we have sponsors and we have the Cowboys come and the support from y'all and the city, we will continue to be able to do this. I mean, some of us are getting old in the tooth. We're trying to get younger people to come in. One of the major improvements, I don't know if you've seen it, this past year we built a big billboard in front of the stands that's lit up at night, will be lit up all year long. Those are major sponsors for our rodeo. We're proud to have done that. It makes them see that they're getting something besides just being a sponsor for their name is out there. We look to make more improvements, like Mr. Gomez said, that are being worked on as we speak. And I'm proud. He's proud. Mark is proud. Henry is proud to be a member of the Los Fresnos Rodeo Committee. We thank you all for your support again. We appreciate it.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Again, my comment is you're part of that face of Los Fresnos, and I'm not talking about the people in the stands. I'm talking about the people that work the rodeo. There's people actually take vacation to just go and volunteer their time. So there's a lot of local effort in this rodeo. It's not just a moneymaker for the rodeo. It's a lot of community involvement, and again, you're part of that face of Los Fresnos. Mr. Milam, the request due to our limitations is 12,500.
Yes, for the rodeo, and then the 2,500 for the cook-off when it happens. It's all part of the rodeo.
Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I'd like to motion to approve the sponsorship for the rodeo and, from the amount of $12,500. And as we discussed earlier, the Cowboy cook-off for $2,500.
I'll go ahead and second that.
He's fast, Pete. Yeah, Albert, you beat Pete by seconds.
We have a motion and a second that we approve $12,500 for sponsorship for funding for the Los Fresnos Rodeo and $2,500 for the cook-off. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item D5, consideration and action to approve funding for the 2022 Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center Conjunto Festival.
Good evening, general persons. My name is Rogelio Nunez, and I'm the director of the Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center, and we're coming to you for funding for our 29th annual Conjunto Festival. We started here in 2018 as our initial introduction into Los Fresnos with a festival that was very successful in San Benito, Texas. Had a good festival. 2019 was good. 2020 COVID hit. And last year we did 2 days because we were still not sure with the COVID, and again, but we're back on. Hopefully we're past this COVID, or we're going to be able to work with it to 3 days, October 7th, 8th, and 9th. We've got 16 conjunto bands from everywhere from Dallas to San Antonio, Victoria, Laredo, Kingsville, and then the Valley. And then we're also having 2 bands from Los Fresnos, the high school band, which has always been performing with us, the Conjunto Festival, Conjunto Halcón. And there is also an elementary conjunto group now that's put together. I can't think of his last name, but there's a teacher at the Los Fresnos Elementary School who used to have that same program at the J.T. Canales Elementary in Brownsville, which was very successful. Just Los Fresnos happened to hire him. He started the band. I had a conversation with him. He says probably can perform 5 or 6 songs, but we're ready to go. So we'll have the 16 conjunto bands plus the 2 Los Fresnos ISD bands as well. Again, we're already in the phases of putting together the magazine. Blanca Davis, who is our person who puts that together, has been working real hard. We're hoping to, again, have another major magazine as a publication. We have been putting out the word through our social media, through our website, through our Facebook. I mean, people are already asking for your information. We're just one of 2 conjunto festivals in the nation of this particular type of event. The San Antonio, the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Centers, which just had theirs after 2 years of no festival because of COVID. They just had theirs in the month of May, and again, to a great success. And again, conversations that I have with them, because we're very close, is that people are like, we need to get to Los Fresnos again, because we like what goes on over there. We've had, again, very good cooperation from the city, from the CDC, from the chamber, and from the Los Fresnos community as a whole. But we also, again, are always emphasizing the fact that our festival does draw what we have called as cultural tourists, which comes from Houston, San Antonio, outside the Rio Grande Valley. The assumption is, well, it's in the valley, it's in Los Fresnos, everybody should go. That has never been our case. And again, we do draw a lot of folks from the outside. Last year, again, Mayor Flores went into the crowd and began to talk to people and began to find out that there's people from Houston, from San Antonio, and then from places outside Texas as well. So again, we're hoping for good weather. We're hoping that COVID's not going to get in the way. We're moving forward with the fact that it will have good weather and that COVID won't get in the way, and we plan to have a good, successful event. So again, we're here, again, as we have been in previous years. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any questions. If you've been to our event, you know what it is. If you haven't been to our event, you've been missing, so I'll see you this year. Again, hopefully, I was telling Dr. De Leon here that we drove earlier into Los Fresnos and kind of did a little bit of tour of the neighborhoods of Los Fresnos. And one of the things I think about, and again, it's just a matter of getting person power, and I think we can do some of that, is to actually create the Conjunto Festival as a Conjunto campaign, you know, and go door to door and drop off flyers and just invite people to the event. It's not a political event. It's not a political candidate. I don't think people are going to say, well, I don't want to talk to you because you represent this party or that party, but rather we're promoting the Conjunto Festival. And again, there is data that indicates that door to door and face to face will most likely give you some better results than what we do on the radio. We will put money on the radio, but again, as we know, the media and how it's working and how it functions, not everybody listens to Tejano 102. Not everybody. We did put some money last year into KTEX because the listening audience is Hispanic, you know. But at least from our observations, which is when we're on the grounds, it didn't seem to turn out that audience. You know, it just turned out, you know, the ones that did, and usually the ones may listen to Tejano 102. One of the things, and I know it's been emphasized a lot with the previous presentations about the youth, and I think it's important, is the fact that our participants are going to be pretty much 60 and over. We've tried everything we can in the last 29 events we've had. I go to La Villita Dance Hall in San Benito almost every Saturday, which is the premier dance hall in San Benito in the Valley, every Saturday night. If I find somebody that's below 55, it's lucky. It's an older crowd. It's an older generation. They love the music. They will come out and dance for 3 days. They may be tired after the third day, but they will come out and do 3 days. So that's where we're at in terms of, you know, our participants. We would love to have, you know, we do have the Conjunto Halcón, and now we're going to have an elementary group. Again, they'll draw as much as they draw, but it's not going to be a whole lot of people that are going to come in. Now, again, on the other hand, I'm not going to guarantee anything that if I walk the streets of Los Fresnos and I knock on doors and invite them to a festival, that's going to be a turnout, but it's going to be a face-to-face. Now, again, I've got Los Fresnos pretty well mapped out. It's a small town. It can be done. You know, like I said, Ramon and I are not going to be the only ones that would do it, you know, but there's a few folks that could come with us and just knock on the door and invite them. If they're not there, leave the flyer on their window, their door there, and hopefully they can come out to the festival. So the other thing before, you know, if there's any questions, is that I've gotten comments and other persons in our volunteer group is that they like that festival grounds. They really do. They're very impressed with the police department and crossing folks over from the high school. They like it because we did have a moment there where there were some sprinkles, a little bit of a rain, and they can come under the cover. And the dance continues. The band's under the cover, and the dance will continue. So when you're in an open area and it rains, then you're going to have to shut down. San Antonio had to shut down this festival on Saturday night on the last band because they had a real quick thunderstorm that came in, lasted for about 20 minutes, but it was too late to finish the festival. You know, and even though they have a covered area, nonetheless, they still had that moment of rain. But it does help a lot. And a lot of people have commented they like the grounds. Actually, they're very well kept all the time. So again, it is a major plus there at that particular place. So again, any comments, any concerns, any thoughts?
As far as food vendors,
well, that's taken care of by Val Champion and the Chamber of Commerce. They're the ones that take in the vendors.
okay, yeah, I think giving them more of a variety, I guess, of food, I think that would help. I mean, it was a great concert, and my hat's off to y'all for the Festival Conjunto Association. It was very impressive. I enjoyed it. I went 2 nights in a row, had a great time.
I didn't see you there.
No, I was there, believe me.
And I wasn't drinking either.
But I just feel maybe a little bit more, maybe vendors, opening it up, more vendors, food. And of course, I know you all have your merchandise as well. But I think vendors would probably be a big plus there because
we did, just as a footnote, and Val, you can comment, but I think the first year, the chamber went all out, which they usually do, but they brought in also non-food vendors, arts and crafts people. So, and we had comments from the audience that came and said, you know, we want to come to the festival, we want to dance, you know, consume beverages, and again, have food. And so that kind of, so then we went just to the food world, you know, and I don't know, again, on terms of how many you get. It's been a headache when we used to do it. Like, you know, how many items are you going to have and who's going to sell and who's got this and who's got that and so on. So it's better that we're not in it because I give it to Val to do that in terms of the vendors. The one thing I think will be an advantage, if Mark, I don't know when the Whataburger is going to be open or not. Do you think? By-
Should be.
Okay? Because people are looking for where to go eat after the festival. And again, the closest that I can send them to, if nothing's open in Los Fresnos, after the hours, as they say, is to either go to Harlingen or go to Brownsville. But I think Whataburger is going to be open. I think you'll get quite a few folks going to Whataburger. That's a sure bet. Unless somebody wants to cook menudo for that night and have it ready when, huh?
Any further questions, comments? I have a comment, like I always do, I guess. The operative word on item D5 is culture. This is a cultural thing. I'm one of those over 50, well, more like over 70 group that's there. And it's something that I learned from my parents. And it gives me joy to see that it's something that's being passed on, just like I learned it from my parents. I see younger children, and I call them children because some of them, that's all they are, and they're playing the accordion, but there's a younger group, and it's an inspiration. So it's a cultural endeavor. It's a lot of fun. You get to dance, you get to eat, enjoy some music. If you're thirsty, you can drink a little something. So it's a great event, and I think we're at 5,000, Mr. Milo, the recommendation. And again, because of advertising, we're capped.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that you approve the grant for $5,000 to the Martinez Culture Art Center. Conjunto Fest.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second that we approve $5,000 funding for the 2022 Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center Conjunto Festival. Any further questions, comments, discussion?
Just one comment, I like that idea of the door-to-door, because it really helps, and hopefully some of the people from Los Fresnos will attend the event. That's a good idea.
Coming in, but when we do the survey, we ask, their first time, where'd you come from, so on and so forth. It ends up, that people from outside Los Fresnos, outside the valley, and the Los Fresnos group, is picking up, but we need to work on it. We need to and we used to have the same thing in San Benito. Let me just tell you that. In San Benito, people say, well, you're in San Benito, everybody in San Benito is going to go to the festival. No. And that wasn't the case. We had a lot of folks coming from the other part of the county and then outside the county. So again, it's just a matter of, what you're going to draw, but you have to work at it too. And
You can generally spot them by their attire, those that are out of the area.
yeah.
Okay, we have, we're ready for a vote, correct? I lost my train of thought there. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you very
Ojeda.
much, and we'll see you soon.
Moving on to item 6, consideration and action to approve a sign grant for Peterson Construction located at 806 West Ocean Boulevard, Los Fresnos, Texas.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the committee met just before this meeting and concurred with the recommendation of SRS Advertising as a low bid, and based on the low bid, awarding this CDC portion's $1,500 sign grant.
The committee has met on this, and that's a recommendation to the board.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, discussion?
No, sir.
That being the case, all in favor of approving $1,500 as the board's portion of the low bid from SRS for Peterson Construction? All in favor, say yes, or aye.
In a second.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. I make a motion to approve a sign grant for Peterson Construction Company. The bid was for $3,000. That was the lowest bid. CDC's portion will be the amount of $1,500.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. We approve $3,000, the CDC portion being $1,500, from SRS Advertising, for Peterson Construction. Questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item number 7, likewise, consideration and action to approve a sign grant for Arnie's Wing House located at 812 South Arroyo Boulevard.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the committee met just before this meeting and approved funding from the CDC of $27.25 based on the low bid of $54.50 from MALU Designs.
And again, that's been approved by the committee, and that's a recommendation to the board.
Yes.
Questions, comments, discussion?
I would make a motion that we pay the $27.25 for our portion of the signage for Arnie's Wing House at 812 South Arroyo.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the CDC portion of $2,725 in funding based on the lowest bid of $5,450 from, hard to read the writing, is it DNS? Malu, is that is that your writing set?
I was on vacation.
Okay. Questions, comments, discussion?
Yes, motion
Okay.
and second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item D9, consideration and an action to approve a landscaping grant for the Vasquez drive-through located at 210 South Arroyo Boulevard. Mr. Miles?
You skipped one.
Pardon the senior moment. I told you he was over 70.
Okay, let's go back to D7, consideration and action to approve a under item D8, consideration and action to approve a sign grant for Texas 100 Bar and Grill located at 31796 State Highway 100.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the committee met just before this and agreed on the recommendation of Signs and More with a quote of $1438 would be the CDC share of $719.
And again, that's a recommendation from the committee.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments, discussion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve sign grant for Texas 100 Bar and Grill located at 31796 State Highway 100. To the lowest bid was Signs and More in the amount of $1,438. CDC's portion will be $719.
I second that.
Question, comments, discussion? There's a motion and a second on the floor that we approve $719 of CDC portion for Texas 100 Bar and Grill to signs and more. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Okay, D9. Consideration and action to approve a landscaping grant for the Vasquez drive-through located at 210 South Arroyo Boulevard. Mr. Motlo.
Yes, sir. Again, the committee met before this and agreed with the recommendation to weed cut and trim trees for $2,600, low bid, with the CDC's portion being $1,300.
Is this gonna have an exit to the garage, I mean, to the alley too, or no? Or is it gonna be a drive-through, like circle?
Drive-through circle back to the front.
So that, there's no exit to the alley on this one?
There's an alley, but it's not paved yet.
Make a
It's
motion
new
to approve.
building there by the barber shop.
I'll make a motion to approve, the landscaping grant to the Vasquez, drive-through for the CDC portion of, 1,300.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the landscaping grant for Vasquez drive-through located at 210 South Arroyo Boulevard. The CDC portion would be $1,300. Questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item 10, consideration and action to approve the minutes from June 6, 2022. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir. I have reviewed the minutes and saw them to be factual, or have found them to be factual, and I see no problem with approving them. With that, I'd like to motion to approve the minutes of June 6, 2022.
I'll go ahead and second that to approve the minutes from June 6th, 2022.
Any questions, comments, discussion on the minutes from June 6, 2022? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item 11, or D11, consideration and action to acknowledge the June 2022 financial report under A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report. Mr. Milo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you can see at page 64, few checks there. They're all things that were budgeted through the year, and nothing out of the ordinary should catch your eye. On the next page, you can see where sales tax, our budget is $510,000. We received so far $404,000, so that's through the first 3 quarters of the year, so we will exceed that by $20,000 or $30,000. So that's good. As you look down, the line items are all in shape on our budget. The only one that, as I mentioned before, is the business incentive grants, the sign grants that we've had. 2020 and 2021 were a little slow, I guess, because of COVID. They picked up. I think we only did 5,000 or 8,000 to 8,000 each year, so now we're catching up. So we'll do a budget amendment towards the end of the year to cover that. You have plenty of funding to cover what you've approved, but that's the only difference. If you see on page 69, we're back to volatile, as you know, I mentioned 4 or 5 months ago that we're, minus 1.64 and then up almost 14% and then back to 0.73% and then now we're down 5.49%. I don't think it's anything to get real concerned about. Probably our budget year, we will be conservative and not budget for an increase, budget for a flat, just in case. I don't think that it'll affect long-term, but you just never know. So we'll probably budget 510 again, which is what we budgeted this year, even though we'll probably have some growth of that.
That concludes your report.
Yes, sir.
It's an action item, right? Do I hear questions, comments, discussions on Mr. Milam's report? Do I hear a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to acknowledge the June 2022 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date report, and C, the sales tax report.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second that we acknowledge the June 2022 financial report under A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report as presented by Mr. Milam. Questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under item D12, consideration and action to excuse the absence of Leonel Casanova from the June 6th Community Development Corporation meeting.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to excuse the absence of Leonel Casanova from the June 6, 2022 Community Development Corporation meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We excuse the absence of Leonel Casanova from the June 6, 2022 Community Development Corporation. Questions, comments, discussions? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Casanova, you're excused. Because this item involves me, I'm going to ask the Vice President to.
Yes, sir. So our next item on the list is item Delta 13 or D13, and is an action to excuse the absence of Mr. Enrique Juarez from the June 6th Community Development Corporation meeting. Any questions or discussions?
Did you bring any gifts? I'll make a motion to approve the excuse of Enrique Juarez from the June 6th Community Development Corporation meeting.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. So with that being said, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item E, report by CDC consultant, Mr. Desi Martinez.
I just want to say that 5,000 miles in 15 days was my vacation.
Wow. That's a lot of mileage. Good evening,
Sorry to
members.
interrupt, Mr. Martinez.
I'd like to first introduce our summer intern and have her introduce herself.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Lesnowski. I'm the summer intern here with the CDC. I just graduated from Los Fresnos High School this past May, and I'm looking forward to attending College Station, Texas A&M, in the fall. And I just wanted to thank the CDC, the Chamber, and the city for this opportunity. I'll take all that I've learned so far to college and my future endeavors. And some of the things I've been working on is with the library. We're working on some renovations, and we are doing a partnership with the workforce to do an outreach to the unemployed here in Los Fresnos and Olmito, which I'm sure he will go further into. Thank you.
She's been a very great asset this summer in helping us out in these activities. So you can see on economic development, some of the activity coming in through the city, of course, permits and inquiries, etc. Been very healthy. As, of course, all the applications, you can see also the community coming back, moving forward out of post-pandemic, if I may,
with all the applications from small businesses in town. On community development, we continue to work with all these partners we have that presented today, and we're doing our plans with them. And of course, our chamber is one of our back arms. If the city's a body, CDC is one of the, the right hand, and the left hand is the chamber. We're a great team to work and move these things forward, and it does work. One of the things that Jennifer was talking was the library and doing a complete, since we're having a brand new road coming in pretty soon, hopefully soon, sooner than hopefully. We've also helping the library do a facelift and picking up some things. You can see some of the areas of work that I provided some images there. And of course, you can see working with Public Works in our team of the city, some of the people and contacts we've had to work for to get some of these items done. So you're going to see a lot of working on that very important asset of the community and bring it up into that image and vitality that you all so much invest into, which is very good. And finally, just want to say thank you for your participation. It's been a hard 2.5 years almost, pandemic, and I think the city has a lot more future, as you can see with our new developments coming out there in residential, commercial, and some light industrial inquiries that we've been getting. Any questions or anything, we're always open to we can't put down everything we do a lot of things, individual referrals, and that type of thing, but these major things that we are reporting to you, you can see the positive impact that you're all having, all of us are having in this community. Thank you.
I have a question. How are we doing with that housing contact that you were trying to get?
That's a tough one, yeah. It's been difficult to get a response from the Brownsville Community Development Corporation. They're all over now. They're so big in Willis and Cameron. Oh, but it's not in the agenda. Can I just brief you on it? We haven't gotten any response.
It's part of community development, so.
Yeah. We haven't gotten any response on the housing section from the U.S. Department of Housing. I did try to contact them and find if I could connect with them and the Housing Authority of Cameron County, and that too has been slow. And what's really working is us, our groups and volunteers and all, and getting the services and information to our public. It's working. You can show it. When externally working with others takes a little longer, and like I said, I wish it was faster, but that's the way it works. We'll continue asking from Cameron County in particular.
Well, if you need any help, I got a couple of contacts there. That's why I was asking, because I was with them last week, and if you need anything help like that, let me know, and I can.
Oh, definitely. That is part of that. Yeah. Yes, I will call you. Anybody else? It's like in Community Development Earth Day, the help that we've gotten from some of you and some of the volunteers out here. It works when we have more of us. It takes a village. Thank you. I will contact.
Any further questions for Mr. Martinez? Okay, Miss Intern, I did not get your name. Miss Jennifer, on behalf of the Community Development Corporation Board, we want to welcome you.
One more question, Miss. What are your plans for your major at A&M?
There we go. I'm majoring in business administration. Yes. I wasn't really sure what exactly it is I wanted to do. I don't like the medical field or engineering, so I figured business would be the best option because there's a lot of opportunities with that. Yes.
Thank you and welcome again. Moving on to item F, report by general manager, under A, infrastructure project, caution lights, B, Veterans Memorial, and C, 2022 and 2023 budget. Mr. Mazza.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the infrastructure project caution lights, Gene says they have everything ready to go except the last piece of that. And they should have that any time. So hopefully one day we'll have those. The next one is the Veterans Memorial. I gave you a schematic. They added in the now sixth area of our military. And unfortunately, Mr. Rudy Gomez, the engineer on the project, did not get us a cost estimate. We wanted a cost estimate to, see where it is, is it something that can be easily funded by CDC and city, or, exactly where we're gonna have to go with that. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have that, which brings me into the last item was 2022, 2023 budget is, items that we would include in there. If those of you that have been around know that we just really move forward things from one year to the next unless it was a one-time expenditure. And then we have quite a large amount in special projects that's usually available every year for things that come up during the year. We also have a really healthy fund balance that we can tap into, which is good for that rainy day when someone comes or a need comes and you say, yes, we want to do that. So all of those play into, number one, the Veterans Memorial. Hopefully we have a cost estimate on that, as well as the budget and next meeting that we'll go through and spend a little bit of time in.
Thank you. Does that conclude your report, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir.
Moving on to item DG, committee action, or committee reports and actions as may be appropriate. We'll go the short route again here. Anybody have anything to report on these committees?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Before we move on to item H, Ms. Bianca, a suggestion. You do a great job of putting together our packets, but you get an older gentleman like me that doesn't see well, doesn't hear well. I start to flip to pages and I get lost. Could I ask you to put a number on every one where it starts? For example, item number 13, let's say, would begin on page 64. If you could put it there, it makes it a lot easier for me to go to that rather than be flipping back and forth. A kind suggestion, that's all.
I do it for mine that way myself, so that
Well,
I can
if you
find
could do it
these.
for the rest of us, it would help at least one old man. Okay, item H, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.